Good morning. It's May 17th, 2021. It's my wife's birthday. And it's a lovely 19 degrees as I start out here. A beautiful spring day. Supposed to go to 30 today, so yesterday I was out walking in the afternoon and it was quite warm, so it's nice to be back walking in the morning at a more pleasant temperature. And this is Monday, so that just means a version of my usual walk along the creek. I don't know why there are Norwegian flags flying on the other side there. I think they're Norwegian. I have no idea what that's about. So this is Monday, which is the day I normally just take a version of what used to be my standard exercise walk along the creek. So that's what I'm going to do. Excuse me. What do I got on the tap this week? Well, writing The Tangled Stars. It's the main thing, again. Some Kickstarter stuff to do. I got a contract in, for example, from Barbara Hambly, who's offering a reprint. We'll have a reprint in the new anthology that I kickstarted. One of the big name authors. So now I get to send her money. I like sending authors money because as an author I like getting money, so I've discovered I like being the one that sends it to them, especially when it's Kickstarter money, because it's not like it's coming out of my pocket. Well, only in the sense that the Kickstarter money went into the Shadowpaw Press's pocket and is now coming out of Shadowpaw Press's pocket. Money in, money out. Otherwise, it'd be impossible to do this anthology. I pay 10 cents a word Canadian for original fiction and 5 cents a word for the reprints. It's the way it works. And in her case, it's a reprint from 1994. Enjoyable, somewhat creepy story. It's a very eclectic book, anthology. Most anthologies have themes. Well, the only theme for this one, Shapers of Worlds Volume 2, just as it was for Shapers of Worlds, the anthology I kickstarted last year, and which you can now buy anywhere, in paperback or ebook. The only theme is that they were all the authors were guests on my podcast. The World Shapers, theworldshapers.com. So the first year was people who were guests on the podcasts in the first year, and this book will be people who are podcast guests in the second year. So it's kind of I think I'm going to, in my introduction when I write that, I think I'm going to talk about it being a cabinet of curiosities. Kind of an old-fashioned idea of having odd objects that you picked up on your travels displayed. Kind of a Victorian idea probably, or even older. I think that'll be the metaphor I use. What's a metaphor? I don't know. What's a metaphor for you? Old joke. Walking along the dike now. So we'll mostly walk along the creek today. And then to get out to Pasqua Street. And then I'll walk back, maybe take a slightly different route than sometimes. Or maybe I'll just follow the usual path. I don't know yet. If you're watching live on YouTube or Facebook, let me know. Say hi. Yesterday I walked at a different time than normal in the afternoon, and I had people check in on YouTube from Brazil and Colombia and Vancouver. Oh, there's someone. Hi from your apartment bunker in Montreal. Hi, Jeffrey. Take a virtual outdoor walk then. See, the trees are starting to bloom out. That one's always pretty. So we're walking along Wascana Creek. At the moment. That's on the other side of those bushes. We were able to see it quite well before they got leaves on them. Now it's you don't see much of the creek till you get to the bridge, which is coming up. It's only supposed to be 19 degrees. It already feels almost as warm as when I was walking yesterday, but yesterday I had shade, and at the moment, bright sunshine. It's supposed to be some rain this week. I sure hope so. It's very, very dry. Check on the progress of that house. Big one going up. The default view here is quite wide angle on the iPhone. So sometimes I'll comment on something that I think is quite close to me, and watching the video later I find out it wasn't that close at all. There's my first unstable internet connection warning. Alright, here's the traditional view of the creek as it looks this morning in that direction, and as it looks this morning in this direction. Been doing this long enough now, things are turning into traditions. I always show the creek in both directions when I cross the footbridge. The tradition I could do without is getting those unstable internet warnings. Didn't get them when I started. Been getting them more often recently. So look back at the footbridge we just came over. Reasonably picturesque. Oh, cat. With a mouse. Hello, kitten. Oh, don't worry. I think I just saved the mouse though. As soon as the cat moved, the mouse moved. Well, I hadn't seen that before on my walks. See lots of geese, lots of dogs. There's always people walking dogs. And as you can hear, lots of birds. There goes some right now. So I hope this is a very productive week. We're riding the tangled stars. I still got a ways to go, a long ways to go. And it's kind of due. I have an extension on what was in the contract. The contract date was just kind of picked out of thin air. It's not to be published until next year, but still, we're getting to the middle of the year, so it needs to be done and submitted. 2 DAW books, my New York publisher. I have a middle grade book out, looking for a home. See what comes of that. I have a YA book at a publisher that's taking a look at it. See what comes of that. And I have books to publish myself through Chautauqua Press. I know what will come of those. At least once I get around to it. First time I walked this, it was all snow. Now it's almost summer. Leaves aren't completely out, but they're certainly getting there. So we're walking beside parks over here, playground over there, baseball diamond up here next. Needs a new sign. Desperately needs a new sign. Baseball diamond actually has like clubhouses and concessions and bleachers. And a dugout, even though it's not dug out, but I'm sure they still call it a dugout. 2 dugouts, presumably. Oh, someone else is saying hi. Too bright for me to read it. It's from YouTube. If I get some shade up here, maybe I can find A. Yes, it is. It's supposed to go to 30 today, so it'll be quite hot this afternoon. Someone's coming behind me. I hear footsteps. I'm being chased. I'm being passed. Last fall, before the snow came, I was jogging this. But what happened was I would jog, and then my knees would act up, and I wouldn't be able to even walk it for a while. So decided to stick to walking. And of course I couldn't jog. Well, I could jog holding this, but I wouldn't jog and talk. Not much anyway. Be a lot of live streamed heavy breathing is what that would be. Also walking, I walk further, so it probably balances out exercise-wise. Morning. So there's the baseball diamond again over here. Coming up to Elphinstone Street, if you're following along on Google Maps. I always make that joke. Nobody ever does. I don't know why. I always like to credit, there's a YouTuber called Walking Commuter who walks in Manhattan doing exactly what I'm doing, with the one big difference that he gets thousands of views and I get even dozens, would be pushing it, maybe a couple of dozen if I'm lucky total, and that's people watching the the recording, as well as those few who watch it live. There's horseshoe pitches over here, of all things. I've never seen anybody on them on these walks. But perhaps it's not the time of day for horseshoes. So he actually makes money at it, but you have to have 1,000 subscribers before you can monetize something like this, and I have 61, so doesn't seem likely I'm going to get rich. I don't know what Manhattan's got that we ain't got. This is Elphinstone. So we're going into Les Sherman Park here. Basically along the creek in Regina you have a long interconnected series of parks and a path, which I'm currently on. At least part of it, it's called the Devonian Pathway. I don't know what its total length is. It's very long. I've walked chunks of it. Starting at one end and walking to the other would be a interesting exercise. It would take I would think, possibly as much as 3 hours. Could do it someday. Walking commuter, the guy in Manhattan, one thing that drew our attention to him was that he did something called the Great Saunter, which is, he didn't do it on the day when everybody else did it, but excuse me. The Great Saunter is a walk around the entire island of Manhattan. Took him about 8 hours. And he live streamed the whole thing. But, well, he live streamed it, much like me on occasion. Which is kind of, reassuring. He's in Manhattan, but he has connection problems too sometimes. Because when he did that Great Saunter, his YouTube stream failed and he had to restart it, which I've had to do a couple of times. So heading to that footbridge over there will be the next exciting change of pace. Residential over here, and then there's a high school just a block over, Sheldon Williams Collegiate. Over there is a high school, which I've covered most of this area now, some parts of it multiple times, doing these. But hey, walking commuter walks through Central Park all the time. Nobody complains about that. Seeing way more people out this morning than I normally see out and about on a Monday morning. It's the nice weather. It's not a holiday. Next weekend's the holiday. Okay, another footbridge back onto the other side of Muscana Creek, where we will be for the rest of the walk, I think. Hey, hi Wendy. It is beautiful. Here's the creek today. Side. Looking the other way. When I first started doing this, it was all covered in ice. And now it's not. Funny how that works. If only there were a word to describe it. Well, I know. Let's call it spring. One of the cool things about doing this, if I keep doing it, and I have every intention to keep doing it, is you can watch the seasons change. Started in winter. I walked in snow several times. Even in April, I walked in snow. I think the last good-sized snow was about a month ago now. In fact, the sort of the default video for new people visiting my YouTube channel is a walk around the lake about a month ago with snow on the ground and some fog on the lake, because it was very picturesque. One of our giant turtles. They're very slow moving. You could watch that one all day and you'd probably never see it move. Rare species. Nice playground over there. I miss the days, well, I don't really miss them, but I remember the days when I was always focused on playgrounds because of having a small daughter. Now she's a big daughter. From Bonnie. Hello, Bonnie. Good morning. Enjoy your coffee. I had some before I set out. I will have more when I get home. And a bagel. Didn't eat anything before I set out this morning. Sometimes I do. interesting. I've done some walks recently where there was nobody, and here I'm getting, well, by my standards, that's like 4 people. 4 people have said hi. The only purpose for these curves is to be scenic. This path isn't really, designed to get you somewhere in a hurry. It's to be scenic or interesting. Maybe next weekend I'm thinking, one place I haven't walked yet I'd love to go is out to the Science Center and on up to the hill in Douglas Park out that way. Of course, the Science Center is where I used to work, what brought me to Regina in the late 80s. Yes, I'm old. But I could walk it from here, but the walk over wouldn't be bad. The return walk, though, it would add up to probably a 2-hour walk, which is not undoable, but I haven't done it yet. What I'll probably do is park at the Wascana Marina and walk from there. Morning. I did that when I walked to the university, and I'll walk to the university again one of these days. I only saw a small portion of it. I got kind of trapped in what I would call the quad, they call the academic green, as I went in. But it's all surrounded by buildings, and all the buildings are connected because of the winter weather, and everything was locked because of COVID. So I could have turned around and gone back out the way I'd come in, of course, but I kept looking for another way through and finally found one up and over some stairs. But I felt a bit like a rat in a maze, and I only saw half the campus that way, so sometime I'll go back over there and make sure I walk around more of it. That's one of the walks for the video feed failed, though, for YouTube. Walking down by the lake, I had to restart at one point. Cyclists coming. This path is just way busier than it normally is on a Monday morning. It's not like we've had bad weather every other Monday morning. Seems to be a lot more people out for some reason. I don't know why. Cyclists going every which way. Well, we're going to leave the creek path once we get over to Pasqua Street, because that's about where I need to turn around and head back in one fashion or another. I think instead of staying on the park, though, I'm going to maybe walk all the way up to 13th and then zigzag my way back from there, just to make it a little different, a little longer. My normal walk is only about 50 minutes, and I had to put a few more minutes on it and a little more exercise. And the purpose of the live stream is not just to talk about myself, but to give me incentive to walk every day. So last week I averaged 9,000 steps a day, if you can trust the phone step counter. Of course, it's on for the longest part of those walks, it's on this motion smoothing gimbal. So I don't know if I lose some steps that way, but that's the only measure I have. And it said I averaged 9,000 steps a day last week. And one of the things I'm doing is recording my steps. There's someone we know who has it's called 1,000,000 Steps for the Arts or something like that. It's just people who are walking and recording their steps and doing it to express their support for the arts in this difficult time, especially for theater, live performing arts. There's the bridge. Oops. It's the bridge over Pasqua Street, which I sometimes go under, but not today. This is Pasqua Street. A little further over is the Louvain. It's a higher speedway to get along the edge of town over there. And the building over there on the left, with the black and the yellow, is Saskatchewan Express, which is a company that has a touring performing troupe most years. Obviously, I doubt they did last year, and they certainly are probably wondering about this year, but of young people, usually. And they tour, you know, fairs and all sorts of things. They also have training components, so there's classes there for dance and drama and musical theater. And the black end down here, what used to be the gym when it was a school, has been turned into a decent little theater. Haven't done a show there, but Regina Lyric Musical Theater that I'm part of did 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee there a few years ago. And really good show, and it worked really well because, of course, it's set in a school. I hear there's a live action movie being made of it, which would be cool. So I really like the songs in that show. And speaking of musical theater, if you're interested, look on my YouTube channel. I do have a music and theater playlist. Not a lot on there, but you can see some examples of me singing, including, and my wife and my daughter, because we just did Flip the Script, Broadway in Reverse, which was a online concert put on by Regina Lyric Musical Theater, technically Lyric Singers, which is part of Lyric Musical Theater, where we did gender swapped Broadway songs. So my daughter did Tonight at 8 from She Loves Me. My wife and I did Sue Me from Guys and Dolls, with me doing Adelaide's part and she doing Nathan Detroit's. And then I did How Do You Solve a Problem Like Maria, all four nuns. Again, a lot of these neighborhoods, you have these brand new, very modern looking houses. When one of the old ones like this goes away, increasingly they're replaced by one like that over there. I mean, there's other new ones that are more traditional looking, but you do see a lot more of those, that style everywhere. So if you're interested in that, I was particularly pleased with how Maria turned out. Check that out on my YouTube channel or my website, edwardwillett.com. Another one, very modern. A lot of the modern houses have these no grass front yards, which I must admit appeals to me somewhat. But I don't think it would look good in front of our 1926 house. Seems to fit best in front of these very modern ones. I'm gonna go all the way up to the corner of 13th, and then I'll zigzag my way back to the right until I get home. However that works out. House for sale if you're in the market. That's a very low maintenance front yard too. Used to drive this way all the time, taking Alice to high school. Luther College High School is, you go up here, you turn left, you go up the Louvain, you turn left on Dudney, and it's down Dudney. I walked out basically to it a few days ago, last weekend maybe? Don't remember now. But I started from the park back there because, again, it's a long walk. I don't mind the long walks, but it's the time, and I do have other things to do, so I try to keep to around an hour. Turn right at the 7-Eleven. Used to be a dance studio over there where that sort of duplexy couple of houses are. Martin School of Dance, it was a former church. I'm not sure where they moved, but the building was torn down and replaced with that. All right, we're going this way now. A scenic walk through the 7-Eleven parking lot. You don't see that very often on YouTube. Then we'll immediately start zigzagging when we get here. Not that you can zigzag very far before you hit the park again. Well, that's okay. Just wanted to add a little bit more so it's more like an hour instead of 50 minutes. Oh, there's another comment, if I can see it. Yes, take the long way home. Little Supertramp inspiration this morning. I will not be having breakfast in America, however. I'll be having breakfast in Canada. It's only logical. Now we will zig, or possibly zag, to the left. And either keep walking down this street, or continue the zigzag, which will take us to the park in short order. So this is not adding a lot, but it'll probably add that 10 minutes that makes this about an hour. And I might as well cross over. There's nobody coming. Look, nobody coming. Not anywhere near anywhere. Nothing too exciting around here, just houses. And down at the end of the street is the park. These big trees, spruce in particular, we have two big spruce in front of our house. One of them is about 15 feet shorter than it used to be because in a big windstorm a few years ago, the top snapped off and landed in our neighbor's yard. 15 feet? Something like that. 10 to 15 feet. Or if you prefer, say 3 to 4 meters. Fortunately, didn't land on anything like our roof. We were away. We just came back and we knew there'd been a big storm. So we drove up and thought, oh, everything looks fine. And our neighbor came out and said, look up. And we realized we had a shorter spruce than we used to. There's another one. I worry about it a little bit because at some point it split. So it has two trunks. About 2/3 of the way up, going up the rest of the way. We had a tree in our backyard taken down that had died and was starting to get a little worrisome, so we chopped it down. Well, not personally, but where did this bring us to? Well, I don't want to take that path, so I will keep going this way to begin with. We'll cross the street again. So I would have normally walked down this road, so actually kind of on my standard path back again, just with a slight extension. One of our long straight sidewalks. Again, here's the path over the park over here. The path I walked along by the creek and the footbridge over that way. Now heading due east. The sun's already very high, as I should know, because it was starting to get light when I woke up at 4 a.m. and since I didn't fall asleep until after 5 a.m. I think, I had an opportunity to watch the light grow. I could have passed on that opportunity. And part of the problem is the birds start singing, so if you do wake up at that time, they can be very noisy. I guess we're only about a month from the longest day of the year. Shortest night, I guess. A little over a month. About 5 weeks. And then it starts to go the other way, and we were talking as I was walking with my wife the other day. So the leaves are just now coming out. They'll be out 100% probably next weekend for Victoria Day weekend. We have had snow on Victoria Day weekend, doesn't seem likely this year. And then we get June, July, August. In September, the leaves start falling and changing color. And we could get snow in September. First snow sometimes comes that early. Certainly we'll probably get our first snow in October, and frost will kill all the flowers. And then it's back to November, December, January, February, March, April. With no leaves on the trees, and usually snow in the ground. It's a lovely climate. At least it's dry. It's a dry cold. Unfortunately, it's also a dry heat sometimes, and then you get a drought, which some concern about this year. But we do have rain in the forecast for this coming week, so I hope it materializes. As I've said before, a heavy rain would be the one thing that I would not walk in for the sake of the phone and more of the gimbal. The phone might be fairly waterproof, but the gimbal isn't. Lots of dogs coming, probably dog walkers, not just one family's dogs. Cut across the grass here to see the giant beaver. When there was snow, I wouldn't walk across here because my feet would get wet. When the snow melted, I wouldn't walk across here because my feet would get wet. At the moment, it looks dry enough to go see the beaver. Even rarer species than the motionless turtle I showed you earlier. Concrete beavers. I'm glad they're not really this big. Wouldn't be a tree left. There you go. There's something you don't see every day. That may be my thumbnail this week, or for today. I think it's a beaver. Yeah, it's a beaver. It's got a flat tail. This is the Neil Balkwell Center, which is an arts, city-owned arts facility. So it has the Art Gallery of Regina is in there, small gallery, and a lot of studio space. They have painting classes and all that kind of thing when you can do such things. It's another place I've rehearsed. Many years ago, Regina Lyric Musical Theatre would have its annual meeting here, and we'd rehearse in there once in a while for the annual meeting, which we used to do a little production on. So I remember doing Gilbert and Sullivan's Trial by Jury in there for the annual meeting. I was also in an a cappella group called Midnight Sun. You can actually find quite a bit of us singing on my website if you look under my music tab, edwardwillett.com. It wasn't a quartet, it was a cappella. Well, it started as a septet, I think. We went to a sextet, and then I think we ended up as a quintet. But we performed at the annual meeting for Lyric there in the Neil Balkwell Center once, and one of the songs we sang was Barbara Ann, the Beach Boys. But we changed the words to Margaret Ann. Well, Margaret Ann is my wife now. So, was I making a play in that direction at the time? I don't actually remember. It just seemed funny. But, Margaret Ann. And as I said off the top, today's your birthday. So, happy birthday to my wife, Margaret Ann. Margaret Ann Hodges, PEng, professional engineer, past president of the Association of Professional Engineers and Geoscientists of Saskatchewan. I often make the joke that my best career move as a freelance writer was to marry an engineer, which harkens back to a joke I read when I was just starting out trying to be a writer, which was definition of a freelance writer is a man with a typewriter and a working wife. And while I would make some sort of living, if I had to depend on my own resources, it would not be the living to which I'd become accustomed. So, ow, got something in my shoe. It only stuck me once, so hopefully it's gone somewhere where it won't bother me again. Now we're heading back towards the creek. And I think I will walk up along this side of the dike for a little ways, just a short ways, just to keep it interesting for anybody who's still watching live, if anybody is. There's another one of those modern houses that are popping up next to the very traditional houses in these neighborhoods. I'm going to take this path up to this side of the creek along the dike. They've got a nice deck, view over the park and the creek. Probably from up there, you might be able to see the creek over the dike. The dike is, of course, a flood control dike. There was a huge flood in this neighborhood before I moved to Regina back in the 70s. think there was a lot of work done after that for flood control, so it didn't happen again. There's our creek again. Just letting the birds have a few words. So the path we walked out on is just the other side of those trees. We're going to go down these stairs here and walk through the neighborhood for the last 3 or 4 blocks. So getting close to the end. If you've been watching live and have not said hello, we're running out of time. There's a certain amount of latency between the image and like what I see and when it appears live stream. So when people do comment can actually seem quite, I think my responding to it can seem quite slow. I'm not sure because I've never been on the other end. Actually, somebody told me it wasn't too bad, so now that I think about it. I do have it set for low latency. And I've ordered an external microphone, wireless microphone I can clip to my collar to get better sound and reduce wind noise, I hope. If it doesn't work for this, it'll still be a useful thing to have because it allows you to set up the phone on a tripod somewhere and get a wider image, but still be able to narrate, which I haven't done anything that requires that yet, except maybe recording that stuff for the lyric show when I did the 4 Nuns. It was okay sound-wise, but not terrific, and maybe with a microphone like this it might have been better. So the next time I have occasion to sing something, I might experiment. Challenge there, of course, is that if you're trying to record the accompaniment as well at the same time, the little mic on your collar won't pick that up probably, so. But you could blend it later, potentially. I don't know. I don't have the microphone yet. Just ordered it yesterday. There's another tree with blossoms on it. Sure sign of spring. Well, it is May 15th. It better be. There better be signs of spring by now, or it's a really bad year. I have seen snow on the ground as late as beginning of May. But that was in the 70s when we had some really cold, snowy years, and all the talk was we were going into another ice age. Climate change. I remember science fiction stories about the advancing glaciers based on the current science of the time. Now, of course, it's all the other way. Like these. I haven't really pointed at them as I walked by them this time, but these row houses are really nice. They're all condos now, I think. Wish they'd cut that tree branch though. I'm gonna walk into it one of these days. So they've been here a long time, these houses. Just a couple of more blocks and I'll be home. Getting thirsty. I knew yesterday when I walked in warmer weather, I was so thirsty and I thought, I'm gonna have to start bringing water. And here I am again, thirsty, thinking, I'm gonna have to start bringing water. I'm not actually bringing water. I like this house. It has a nice traditional look to it. This is Leopold Crescent. I've been in some of these houses over the years. Been in that one. One across the street where they're doing some work I've been in. There's something called the, well, it was called the Davin Homeschool Tour? No, Davin School Home Tour. And they've renamed the school Crescent School. Don't get me started on that. But it's a tour of people's homes as a fundraiser for the school. So, oh, I shouldn't walk on the grass here, but I did. Hello. So I've been in quite a few of the houses around here that where people volunteer to do that. Okay, that's our stop sign up there where I will stop this. So it was nice to have several people check in today in the live stream. I think on both FaceTube and YouBook. Like those names better actually, FaceTube and YouBook. And if you are there but didn't say hi, thanks for watching. And if you are watching or have watched the recording, well, thank you for that too. This is the end of it. And unless it's thunderstorming tomorrow, I'll be back tomorrow. So, bye for now.